Right, so we're going to start this project with a piece of offcut from a bench, and I'm just going to make it square. So which means it's going to be about there somewhere. And that's the section that we want. Find out where our centre is, which is right there. And we will make a cut, chop that off. Okay, we've got our piece cut. Just take the compass. Okay, so we have our circle and we have our centre. So here we go. This is just a piece of thin ply, and mounted the router, goes on here. The crucial thing with this is to have the centre line dead centre with the router bit. This is where you're going to try and mount your centre point, pivot point, so then it'll just pivot around like that. You will see when we get the router up and running. Using the ruler, just draw up to our line, and 150 millimeters is here, and that's going to be our centre point. So I just need to drill a hole in there, and that'll be where we put our pin. So just before I started to route this thing, I plunged the router down if I can, to find that the router bit is clear of the wood. So it looks like I didn't get my centre point sorted. So I will correct that. Okay, with the position now corrected, we can get into it. So there we go. We have the outer diameter marked. So that's going to be a nice round circle. While I've still got it all clamped up here, and I've got the router and the jig, I'm going to figure out how much I want the wall of the bowl to be. So what should we say? 15 mil looks pretty good. Let's make it 16 mil because that is easier to work with. So by the time we do a round over on that, it'll look really nice. So what we need to do now is shift our pivot point. So yeah, 16 mil. So we need to move this 15 mil. So we can do that. Mil. Oh, let's call it there. So again, mark with a punch. And we can use this as our drill base because we're going to be removing this. That's our new hole. want to make sure we get that in the right hole. So there's our mark. It's pretty close. It's pretty good. I'm happy with that. So I have made a wee goof with the measurements. So I measured from the wrong side of the router bit, which means instead of having a 15 or 16 mil thick wall, I now have a 8mm thick wall. So hopefully that's going to be enough. I guess we'll find out. So with the jigsaw, I want to cut on this side of the line. So here we go, we've got the bits trimmed off, and you can see there that it's starting to look more bowl-like. So our next thing to do, I think, is to continue routing down these, but I'm going to swap out the router bit. Okay, so this is the router bit that we have been using to create our circumference. So I've swapped that out, and now we're going to be using this sort of router bit. Now this has a bearing on the top. So this bearing this router bit has a bearing at the top, and it will run along the edge here and match whatever that is. So, gone as far as I can go with the current router bit. So you can see that it's following the original line that we made. So I need to swap over to a different router bit again. So this one was the one that we were using. It has the bit at the top of the router bit. The bit that we're going to use, this is called a flush trim bit, and it has the bearing on the bottom of the router bit. So the way this bearing works, with its bearing at the top, so you come in from the bottom and it will run along like so. Okay, the next thing I want to do is just give this a wee sand with some 60 grit paper just to get it all smooth. I want to do it now because I don't want to have to clamp the sides in when it's just this rim, so I'm using the bulk of that bolt. And then okay, so I've sanded the edges down with 60 grit paper. Now I want to decide how thick I want the base to be. It's looking like it's 35mm thick at the moment. So I think if we make it 25mm deep, that'll be plenty. So what we're going to do now is look at drilling out the inside of the bowl, which is why I needed to know how deep to make the drill bit go to. Right, so we're at the drill press. There's our mark. Made it in vivid so you can see. We want to go probably to about there. So we need to take into account the little center pin on the Forstner bit. Lock that off there, about there. So now what we do is we drill out all this internal piece. end up with. So I'll just drill the rest of this out to that depth. So I'm just going to use the chisel to clean up these pieces. This is just all in the aid of trying to make it safer to use the router. Right, let's see if we can. Okay, so I have put some tape down on a board that is flat, and the idea is to do the super glue masking tape trick. And stick the bowl onto the tape. Get it all lined up. It's about there somewhere. And my hope is that this will hold the bowl down while using the router. So I'm going to set the depth to that is the maximum depth. If we start with that depth, make everything the same depth and then lower it just a little each time. So here you can see what's happening. We are just routing out just a little bit deeper, and I'll just continue routing that out until we've covered the whole bottom of the bowl. The bearing on the router bit will go against the side of the inside of our bowl, and yeah, we'll have a look and we'll see just how thick that is when we have finished. Right, so that was the second pass, and let's just check the depth. The depth there is 25mm, which in the old language is about 1 inch. So I think that might be as far as I go with this. In terms of the router, in depth, all I need to do now is sand it because it's fairly rough. Okay, I have sanded this little bowl tray thing to 120 grit. Now I'm going to just dampen a bit of cloth and we'll give it a wash over. That'll raise the grain so that we can sand it, and then it will sand very smooth after that. So you can feel the grain coming up. Don't need to make the cloth sopping wet, it just needs to be damp enough to transfer the moisture to the wood. So here we go, I think this is dry enough. I'm going to have a go with some 240 grit paper and see how smooth we can make this thing before we put some finish on it. or you can really tell the difference. Right, well there you go. Sanded to 240 grit. Feels very smooth. I think that'll be ready for some finish. Okay, we have decided to go with the very food safe mineral oil and beeswax board butter that I've made. So this is just a big bath of mineral oil. So all I'm going to do is dip the wood in. And because this is totally food safe, I can just use my bare hand to just move all that oil all over. I'm going to let this soak for a little bit. Just let that soak in, and yep, and we will let it drain in a little bit. So I'm just going to wipe the excess oil off. The good thing about this stuff is that you can just add to it when you need to. So you don't have to sand it down or anything like that. You just simply apply another coat and you're good to go. Right, so that's probably enough of that. Now I've got this soft cloth here, and we just wipe off the excess. And I'll just let this air dry for a wee while, and it'll be ready for use. So there we go, a nice simple tray that took me 2 days to make, well 1.5. I think, you know, it could be done in a day. It might be a bit of a long day, but it could certainly be done in a day. So there we go, a nice quick project. So thanks for watching. Do like and subscribe. And if you like this format, this shorter format, then let me know in the comments, and I'll try and make some more. Also let me know if you like the longer projects, because I've got ideas for both. Yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of the tray. Yeah, next up we'll just show you some of the show the tray in use and see what you think. So again, thanks for watching, and join us next time on the Workbench Apprentice.